10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Terror Blade.
Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Radiant team pick. Dire team pick.
Points away.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Crystal Maiden.
Radiant team pick.
Sky Wrath Mage.
Dire team ban.
Spirit Breaker.
Ten seconds. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick.
Earth Spirit.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Choose your hero.
Thank you, Sudama. Yes, indeed, a bit of a grudge match here, even if it's, of course, not directly mid one versus our boy Mike. It still is a little bit maybe behind the scenes. Everyone's kind of wishing it is, but we'll see how this one goes. I mean, Blacklist on the up and up. SMG, you know, I feel like they started off the season once again in free fall, but they've kind of caught themselves. Is it still time? Do they have enough time, Jonathan, to deploy the backup shoot?
They have enough time, but no room for mistakes for them. I think, especially if they want to be able to go to the major, they can't afford any losses. So we'll see how sharp it is. I think Blacklist is a pretty capable opponent as well. They've shown us the first week they looked pretty damn good. That loss against Xerxia may be a little random.
Right.
A little random, like Talon's loss as well, maybe a little random. Some first week shakes, perhaps, or second week shakes coming in there.
That's right. Yeah, could be. And a bit of disconnects early on, which is why we're just kind of being chilling. Any spicy chat? Any all chat Friday? No.
No,
Just a couple
no all
of
chat. Maybe just
Oh, hold on. There it comes.
Oh, there you go. Yabang. Raven calling Jonuel tick-headed or big-headed.
Ah, much like Quinn in the Peruvian.
Yeah, Jonuel says he misses him, of course. Miss you. That's it. Just some friendly banter. Part of my general saying, just because you have a girlfriend, you can ignore me?
A lovely little bit of emote art from Raven.
Carl just burning Raven, calling him. It's not a girlfriend. It's just a best friend.
Let's jump in game. I mean, people are watching. Let's just read the chat.
Jonuel's just like,
get in the game.
Stop fooling people. Stop fooling people. That's not a best friend. You're just messing around.
Yeah, I've showed my coffee on accident, but yeah, they were they were talking in the interview. You know, I didn't see the final cut of this one. I don't know if it made it in or not, but they were discussing a little bit about how Zhao, I mean, obviously had played with Raven before, and knew that. I asked him, well, what's the biggest weakness? He said, well, sometimes he's a bit emo, but he's been getting some help out of the game from his girlfriend. So, and that was pretty nice. So it was pretty cool how he knew him that well. I mean, he was totally right. I'd conducted these interviews in isolation, right? So they had no idea. Good for them. It's always cool to see the friendly rivalries between the teams, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of friendly rivalries. Well, mostly friendly, outside of the ones that we mentioned behind the scenes.
Right.
Coach from Blacklist, Mr. Mike.
That's right. That's right.
Mr. Ninja Boogie. Boogie and Long.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good for them, right? I think with Execration now taking the win over Xerxia, it kind of does put Xerxia a little bit more out of contention here, but we still do have that third slot for the major, maybe even that second slot, Jonathan, still kind of up in the air as we near the end of week 2. What have really been the big surprises for you this tour so far, do you think?
I think Bleed's opening performance was really a big surprise to me, considering, again, no roster changes outside of coaching.
Right.
So Bleed rising up to this full potential that we expected from them for a long time has been pretty massive. I think the bounce back for Blacklist has also been pretty surprising. Like, these are the two for me. I didn't know coming into this whether or not KP's presence would be enough, but apparently it is.
Apparently it is.
It's shaking things up, and just the fact that you have to be consciously speaking. This is, I don't know how many people can relate, but it feels like when you're talking in a language that's not your primary one. I mean, you speak English well, but it's not what you speak at home.
Right.
You're forced to think more about what you're saying. There's less junk in the comms, and I think that's already a big blessing for Blacklist.
Very deliberate word choice, right?
Yeah, you have to think about what you say. It has to have a purpose, and it also dissuades junk.
Well, for now, it's war for both Blacklist and SMG, but SMG are going to be able to pick up first blood. Goes towards Masaros. I think Mid One was trying to take that with the boulder smash, but I think they're going to be happy it's at least a core. Mid One back on his mid. Earth Spirit would have probably really liked to get that because it would have meant an earlier bottle into the Urn Rush, and that's where you really get the boulder rolling, as they say.
Yeah, you get that rock rolling, and the mid matchup for Mid One shouldn't be too bad as well. I feel like the Pangolier can kind of take over, just be a little bit tankier overall, trade fairly safely. But it shouldn't be too hard for Mid One. He's going to have easier rune control if that's something he'll prioritize here, which it feels like he should. And we'll see how much that kind of opens up. Maybe level 4 is when that lane really starts to get spicy. And the side lanes, of course, we took a little bit of a look down bot, taking a look up top now. Chidori on his Terrorblade once more. I feel like this guy's just been playing a little bit too much Terrorblade, but you can't fault that.
Lots of Terrorblade. I mean, it doesn't feel like his NP, which was pretty strong, honestly. I really liked his NP in Tour 2. Doesn't really, it's not as much as a hero anymore, so we've had to see some changes from him. I'm interested in a little bit of a different hero that we did see in this top lane, which is Tim's Grimstroke. I think this hero is just fine these days. I feel like I'm a little bit in a small camp, basically with just myself when I make that kind of a call. Well, where do you feel? Where do you lie?
I think it's all right. I don't think it's the best pause for right now. Its laning presence is okay with certain heroes. Spirit Breaker's probably one of the lane partners it has that plays really well. So I'm keen to see just how much KP can bring out with their off-lane Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker's been a hero that's been dominating across a lot of regions. Southeast Asia just recently probably picking up on it. But this hero's just been massive. Just gives you a lot of early presence. Charge plus Inkswell, it's going to be great.
Lots of vision, right, as well from that charge, allowing you to close the gap. A couple of auto attacks from range. Helps Raven's game. Just got to be careful you don't accidentally cut down some of his trees.
Yeah. Just always stat potential, but shouldn't be too complicated for Blacklist to hit that tempo. Chidori should have a decent lane. Will cop harassment, but would metamorphosis up with a little bit of a slow and reflection along with a CM along. You shouldn't be under any direct kill threat. Like, you should always be able to cut off the charge and the Inkswell combo.
Yeah, looks like they were maybe thinking about having to go at it, but with John Well having level 2 and not seeing the arcane aura on any heroes, they obviously knew that he was ready to frostbite, and there's no chance a charge was actually going to connect there for a kill.
Yeah, so just gonna have to stay it out. Bot lane is where maybe you see a little bit more passivity. This lane isn't as scary as a kill threat. Normally you'd want your Skyrat to kind of play aggressive, but up against an Ench, it's not a lane that you want to trade in. No. So you're gonna have to sit back here on Afu. Masaro is more than happy to just keep farming out, pass the Ring of Health, going into the Vanguard first.
Yeah, top lane, we did see the first usage of the Metamorphosis. It seems like with a Frostbite and a Crystal Nova, not nearly enough damage to get through the Spirit Breaker.
Yeah, I mean, level 1 Bulldoze is 40% stat resist, up from 35, so...
Pretty good for Space Cow.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to be threatening on him, although you could threaten on that Sky.
Yes, they can. A fairly easy kill there. Did Bosco even have to use the Blood Grenade? He did. So a bit of time spent for Blacklist to invest in that kill, but they're going to be pretty happy with it, especially as they have a pretty juicy wave pushing in as well. Double range creeps here for them. So Bosco doing a pretty good job. Is this Ench a hero that you know? Oh, hold on. Frostbite in time. Inkswell will catch Chidori but he's full HP and has plenty of armor, high effective HP for him.
Yeah.
Spiritbreaker used to have, I remember I calculated it once, I don't believe this is the case anymore. He used to have the highest starting HP. Don't confuse that with highest starting strength. There's a difference there. I don't know if that's still the same, given how many patches there have been, including armor. There's some heroes that have a ton of armor, but it used to be incredibly tanky and great in these level 1 exchanges. But I think TB, you know, trying to get him with the physical damage, it's just not going to work.
No, you're not going to be able to threaten too early on. It should just stabilize to be a good farm lane for Chidori, and it is. Like, you're not really seeing KP stop that farm. He's not able to clear out as much as well. Once the levels go up, that's when you feel pretty good on that Spirit Breaker. Maybe you start to look for rotations. Once you hit that level 6, that's when the kill threat really kicks in, but you're going to have to be sitting on your laurels for a bit, just waiting it out.
Just find and farm?
Yeah, just build up. I think overall that's pretty much the name of the game. Every lane just kind of waiting out. We're not seeing any mid rotation. I would love to see Afu kind of work his way mid for the 6-minute rune. That's the big one with the Skywrath Mage. He should hit level 3 with Ancient Seal. That kill threat will be palpable onto Carl.
That's a good point. We'll see when they decide to make that rotation. So far, it's been all lanes being a bit more static as mid one is forced to roll away. Carl starting to out-sustain him here just a bit as that bottle has run dry for mid one. Still has 7 stick charges, though. And the Fairy Fire is holding on to them. Did have to use the stick charges there in the mid lane, but really banking on now these, well, I guess the bounty rune's still available for him for now, right? He's probably going to need to go get that refill.
Yeah, just shoved out. Really good trades coming out from Carl. And again, just this early tempo the Pangolier is getting out in this favorable mid matchup is pretty damn good. It's a little bit harder to maintain your presence here on the Earth Spirit. We do have the supports coming in right now. Half a minute until 6-minute mark. And just in time, you get the level 3 up on Afu, so Ancient Seal's ready if you do want to go for a play.
See if they can actually find him. Now, having that mobility up on the Pangolier, both in Shield Crash and Swashbuckle, is not only your damage, but your survivability. Urn just delivered as well for mid one, as they will make a play top lane over onto Chidori. But again, outside of the burst at the start of magic damage, they are lacking the physical to really follow through and actually pick up on that kill.
Yeah, and they can't fully commit onto mid now. Bosku shows up with a nice tomato creep. Be able to cut them off a little bit.
That ultimate, there's a gamble on this bottom rune. Mid-one will roll on in. Rune is going to spawn top to DD, but the kill onto Afu is very fast. Mid-one as well might just end up dropping here. Rolling Thunder ought to seal the deal. A clap out from Bosku with mid-one. Doing a good job of staying, out of position of the roll, but he's still going to be killed by that Swashbuckle. Magnetize does a bit of work now as it's going to collect the kill onto, at the very least, Bosku. Oh, but a nice repositioning from Carl. Sees him on the high ground with the wand charges. He is going to live. The maiden auto attack's not nearly enough. Raven as well joining this fight. That's a really early rotation for him. He ran here. He did not TP. Getting involved there, trying to cut off Masaros. As back top lane, KP is just going to be able to farm a bit more here.
Not really getting too much activity out from the Spirit Breaker yet. I'm surprised Raven didn't keep that chase, although they will find Tim's here on SMG's end, hanging around a little bit too long. But I'm surprised that Raven, after all that effort to walk up, he had Tree Dance ready, didn't opt to try to jump Masaros. Maybe wanting him to spend a little bit of time to regen up. It doesn't take too long when you have the Ring of Health, so Masaros is fine.
I will say, John, one thing I have just noticed a bit. Okay, now that this is fine actually. Blacklist, they've learned. I think there was a couple of games of theirs I've casted where they just were really slow to pick up their wisdom runes. Maybe they didn't really prioritize them. They had other priorities around the map. I do think that's a bit of a mistake. I think these things are just way too good for your supports, especially when they are kind of struggling on the lower ends. You know, not only is that HP missing, but you don't have the skill points either to actually be useful.
I think maybe Blacklist, this is a very big maybe, Richard. They could be letting the wisdom runes cook. You know, if you let them sit into the 14-minute mark, they're worth a lot more. It's nice, but chances are the enemy team steals it, so you want to secure it early here. And the levels for these supports are very important. You kind of want that Soulbind up. You want the Enchantress to be as durable as possible with a value point on Untouchable, or just more heals coming out, more harassment coming out with impetus as well.
Does spawn bottom. It's an illusion rune picked up by Bosku. Another Rolling Thunder here, though, with the Ink Swell. Stun is going to miss on well. They still actually have the kill as well onto Tim's as mid one looking for the roll. So far, support for support, as it looks like another support make that it's yet to fall. Raiden TP into this mid lane fight, by the way, by the looks of things. No TP scroll available for him, and mid one is simply going to be forced to roll away. These are early rotations out from Raven. Do you think this is a response to the kind of tempo that a mid or a spirit can really roll with? Are they like maybe trying to shut down this
Radiant's
early
top tower is under
first spirit?
attack.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to play tempo here in Blacklist. They understand that there's a big snowball that comes out from SMG once the Earth Spirit's a little bit more durable, ready to just take the front line, get the connections with level 6 on his supports. So they're making use of this time where SMG's not quite ready for the clump up. I mean, you've got level 6 ready on Masaros as well, but he's just farming up. Playing with a Vanguard, going for more Aura probably, or just a Dominator. Wouldn't mind that too much into the Overlord.
Right.
Has massive stacks for himself. The big thing that Blacklist is losing by pressuring mid one is you're allowing Chidori pretty much a free lane. KP has just not threatened up top in a very long time, and
No.
Terrorblade farm is pretty damn fast.
Yeah, he does have a Vanguard as well, so that's both offliners opting for the Vanguard as they are going to now connect and potentially look for a kill onto Carl. He's got a big old one, the chain stuns. Carl at least able to take down Afu. Oh, as they interrupt Raven from getting off an early Wukong's command. Does not have enough mana now for the Boundless Strike until he pops the wand, but it's not fast enough to actually stun anyone inside of this thing. Looks like SMG are going to look for more. The Rolling Boulder, not quite long enough for mid-one to connect. Boulder Smash as well, easily juked out. Blacklist, they think they can take the fight on back, and they can because KP's connected from the top lane. Charge onto mid-one. He just barely gets away. So far, it's only really Carl that's dropped in this fight. Nice stun here onto Masaros, but he doesn't really have a whole lot else to offer. He does have max wild axes, though, so if he continues stacking these up, fight is going to go the way towards SMG. KP once again charging back uphill onto mid-one. Finds another bash. A bit fortuitous. Is going to be able to interrupt the Rolling Boulder away, and the damage out from Boss, who collects the kill. Carl with a haste rune back in this fight after he did die earlier. Is going to be able to make it 2 onto John Well. SMG eager to fight there, aren't they? But so are Blacklist.
Yeah, both sides really want them to skirmish, understanding that there's some early timings they can make use of here. So he will jump off and double for Carl coming off the back of that. My one concern is still Chidori.
Right.
Yes, you're kind of targeting everyone else. You're invading this jungle, you're invading the stacks a little bit. But your Terrorblade still free farming. Number 2 in net worth, despite no activity coming out from Chidori. Carl just slightly ahead, and Raven slightly ahead as well. But
Right.
Raven's going for a faster build.
That's what I was about to bring up, right? He's building into this Echo Saber, so his play style matches his build here. Do you think they're going to be looking to like maybe undercut? I mean, so far they've been doing a great job of keeping Earth Spirit down. 11 minutes in without a vessel. I mean, it's on the way now, so I guess it's an 11-minute vessel, but you want to see those as early as you can, especially for how strong an item it is versus a Monkey King, as well as versus a Spirit Breaker, honestly. Two very tanky heroes. So potentially they get the ball rolling a bit more here, but yeah, I mean, Raven going for this early item build, again, matching kind of the tempo they seem to set. What's SMG's best move out from this? Are you confident in the Chidori Terrorblade to really out-carry this early activated Monkey and potentially even now this Pango with this kind of a start?
I'm pretty confident that the Terrorblade has a good game as it scales on, so you're not really under too much time pressure on SMG, but you do want some early objectives to really buy the map space out for Chidori. Right now, they're not really able to clump up around this Beastmaster, try to play with the single target pick-off threat they've got. They've been responding to Blacklist more than anything else. They're going up for a smoke play now, sneaking around down bot.
It'd be nice if they can actually try and find Raven. No wards on this side of the map. In fact, not a whole lot of wards up in general for the side of SMG right now. Okay, good. John Well's fixing that. He's amended and placed a pretty decent ward here next to this cliff on the tier 2 tower. It's not too many else, and they've got one as well now next to the Twin Gate to keep Chidori safe. Bosku's going to be bringing the creep on over. It's a level 3 enchanted creep, so it's going to be able to tank a ton alongside KP as well. This is going to be a slow but steady siege. SMG look like they might want to defend this.
Yeah, it looks like it actually just goes for free. I mean, they're dragging some numbers in.
Oh, in comes mid-one. Chidori does have himself that Metamorphosis available. Only level 2 meta, though. We'll see what they can do. The fight kicks off with mid-one missing a couple of spells. Carl on his way back in is going to find himself roared up. Had a shield rune for the first half of that fight, as they have found a soulbind onto the 2 cores. Carl, though, really dishing in the damage, even pre-diffuse the blade, as Raven once again joining this fight earlier, doing a bit more. Nice kick out from mid-one. Does see Masaros still alive in this fight as they're trying to finish off Carl. Another rolling boulder. That's the damage to get it done. KB charging behind the fight as well, trying to finish off Masaros. Doesn't quite do that, but the Echo Saber early on will cleave right through mid-one on the Monkey King. Masaros and Chidori now behind the tier 1 tower. Blacklist are going to turn back and not go diving that far, but surprised. I don't know. Is SMG feeling like they're a lot stronger than Well, it seems like they are, and this Earth Spirit, his farm has fallen behind, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's starting to lag behind. Again, the priority was on shutting down mid one, applying a lot of pressure in his lane. And they've done a great job to kind of see the repercussions of that now for SMG. The side of Blacklist, they've been on top of this aggression. They're starting to leverage just how tanky KP is. And now they've got this key timing coming out in Carl. Full Diffusal up on the Pangolier can just melt out the mana pools, make it hard to spam out these spells, inhibit a hero to chase them down.
Yep.
SMG, for their part, it felt like that response to the tier 1 push was really slow.
I
Like, it
agree.
was already down to less than half, like a fraction of HP left. That's when they fortify and TP in, and
Right.
it's expected once you fortified in. Blacklist are just ready. They're just up front. They're tanky enough. They don't care. You didn't quite have level 6 on Afu either. So you didn't have your Mystic player combination to play with.
They kind of like made this play where they went for this play bottom, right? They smoked, set up a ward, look for a kill potentially onto the core, but you know, through the gates top lane, they tried to maybe fight around this ward, but the fight was behind their tower. They gotta convert something here. This is a pretty strong ward. I'd like to see them maybe they can catch a glimpse of the Monkey King on this bottom side of the map. I do think he's a very viable kill with now that you have level 6, as you mentioned, on Afu. For now though, it's Blacklist who actually will smoke up another time here. SMG putting up some more defensive oriented wards. You can see that one in there next to their mid tier 2. But the triangle right now seems to be where Blacklist are going to be heading, and they'll find Masaros here, or maybe even John Well. His smoke breaks first. Roll on in. John Well going for a walk in the woods, killed off as Raven collects it. Thank you very much. Not too heavy losses here for SMG, but it's just like anytime you're not getting some sort of a trade out from this, it just feels a bit bad on Earth Spirit.
Yeah, it's not feeling great for mid one. At the least, you dodge out on this gank.
Right.
So you force out the roll. You're not losing out too much on SMG. You can try to take the re-engage. Charge out onto mid one though.
They do catch him here. It's a bit scary. They did miss on that Infusal Blade, so he's got still a bit of mana to play with, so KP will cancel the charge. And pretty nice vision around the map now from SMG, allowing them to react appropriately here.
Yeah.
At the very least, you know, for mid one, this change to Vessel and Urn, where if you die with an empty Vessel or Urn, you get one more charge. It's really big. Otherwise, it would have been like, remember SF back in the old days where you lost like half of your souls upon death, and you would just like, you would gank the mid lane once and it would be over for SF.
Yeah. It's painful. Not quite the case anymore. At least you have some util on hand.
You've seen this, by the way, KP. I think that's the second time I've seen him do this, where he disassembles Vanguard and he just straight up sells the Ring of Health.
I don't mind that. I think he doesn't need any more additional HP. You got enough coming out from the Octarine. Lower cooldowns to keep charging, keep these Nether Strike plays intact as well. More momentum here.
That's deep for KP. He's going to be forced out of that one. But yeah, it's just, I remember he did this as well. I think maybe we might have even been casting the game together, John. He did it on a Doom, right? And we were like, well, now he's got his Midas and he's got Devour, and for the Octarine it was worth it. So given how much you can actually farm on the bit of changes that Spiritbreaker actually had, low-key one of the more buffed heroes of the patch, I think we're going to see him a lot more, and potentially into Bali as well if this persists. You farm a ton now when you just charging around the map and bashing creeps, man. It's crazy.
Again, this hero has been extremely buffed in the C patch, was already buffed in 7.33 itself. Michael Phoenix seems to really enjoy this hero.
Oh, does he?
That holds no credence. It holds no. That is not a validation of anything, but just as a fun fact, Mike likes building phylactery on this hero.
All right, 2 bounty runes here going to be picked up by Carl, and another kill onto Afu, as the Mystic Flare damage is not nearly sufficient. Zhao is going to go down as well, but they're looking to counter-initiate. Mid one is connected on the roll. He's going to kick him right into the hands of Chidori. Now got that max meta, but needs to sunder and can't do it in time. The stun from Boundless Strike was simply enough.
Yeah, and that's your bright side disappearing there. Your Terrorblade starting to lag behind the net worth off the back of all these kills from Blacklist. They've taken really good control of the map.
Oh yeah, he has. Pardon me. And the Phantom's Embrace as well, level 1 from Tim's would have sealed the deal there.
Yeah, the silence came out. The silence came out and couldn't just quite sunder it. It's a difficult game now for SMG to be this far behind. I don't know if the investments worked out, because it was Masaros clearing out a lot of the ancient stacks. I'm going for the Ags.
Yeah, and he has it now. We'll see if that makes much of a difference here, as mid one is going to give chase, connects the stun onto Bosku, waiting to kick him back into the heads. No, actually, they're just going to roar him. That's going to send these drum charges up a bit more, but he's actually out of range. There he is, the drums of Slum now, and a lot of magic damage are going to be able to kick through Bosku.
I mean, this is maybe awkward.
I think it'll be all right. You bulldoze your way out of here. It's okay.
Yeah, KP just showing us why people enjoy Spirit Breaker. You charge around, you cause havoc, you're not going to be punished with your stat resist.
1,000 move
you bail
speed.
out. Yeah. Again, a little bit of a point. This is not a good build. No one tried this in your pubs, but Mike LaPhoenix, once more, I'm outing him here. He enjoys the phylactery, and he just likes seeing them get scared. Because you know you're being
you
charged.
see it. You see the thing.
Yeah, you know you get instantly slowed. And they're like, you bail off the map, but you stop charging.
That's so funny.
It's funny. It's Mike LaPhoenix. That's his gameplay right there.
He likes messing with people.
Yeah, he says he likes striking fear into people.
Right.
I suppose, oh, mid one.
He's got another rollout. It'll be all right. He's going to drag the Phantom with him as well. That should be, killed very easily, considering it's just a level 1 Phantom's Embrace. Seems like SMG, though, still eager to fight. I mean, even without Chidori, just looking for a couple of pickoffs here and there. Now with the drums, I don't know if we've even seen a single freezing field yet, John.
No.
But, I mean, the team fight on paper is not all that bad, honestly, from SMG. It just felt like Blacklist being always simply the ones to propose, and SMG not really reacting cohesively enough.
No, it's been a little bit more fragmented from the side of SMG. Just slower responses to the movement out, slower responses to these defense potentials coming in. And Blacklist looking to still push it forward, going for the smoke play out again.
And here they go. It looks like they're going to start off another fight 45 as SMG. I mean, they're going to have to run the Disney defrag tool in between games here. I mean, it's not looking real good.
Yeah, you know what it is? That's attracting them to John Well. They're on the hunt for the last Filipino on the enemy side.
That's right.
They just want him gone.
They're going to that way they could go up to 5.5 Filipinos on the team, as they would say.
Doesn't quite work that way.
Although,
Blacklist, man.
I mean, with how well Blacklist is playing, how long before they claim KP as a Filipino, Jonathan?
He is.
Oh, there it is. That's a nice kill. Finally, they connect onto something here. Tim's did deny the arcane room, but not the cost of his own life here, Jonathan. And a nice rolling boulder into the Mystic Flare. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, that's what they needed maybe 10 minutes ago.
Right.
I think that's the time we were expecting. It takes a little bit longer, but you keep finding these pickoffs. You can open up some opportunities with a man down. Like even just one support down is pretty big for SMG to force something bigger. And they're going out for the smokes themselves now. No Mystic Flare, but you should have enough in the tank to get something done.
I believe Blacklist are going to smoke again, though. Indeed. Mansa Style now finished up for the Pangolier, so he's starting to farm more on the Illusions and a BKB on the Monkey King. Things might get a little bit spooky in this kind of a fight, especially as Blacklist, they'll be under an SMG ward, but they've got pretty good positioning. SMG reacting well now, doing a bit of repositioning as KP's going to reverse to break the smoke. Connects onto 2, the follow-up stun. Oh, it could have been disastrous, but Yule Scepter in time sees Raven still find a 2-man stun onto 2 cores. The follow-up stun from Bosku's Centaur Conqueror as well. Sees Masaro's trapped inside of the Wukong's command, surrounded as well by the units. Down he goes. The Roar not doing a whole lot there. Mid one now finds a little awkwardly in this fight as the magic damage onto Carl's not half bad, but they have KP to charge all the way through the fight. A big Sunder from 1 HP out from Chidori. At the very least, it could allow them to pick off now 3 cores. Carl's out of this fight. The Monkey King as well without a BKB. Still pretty darn strong here, Jonathan. There's only 3 people left standing at the end of this fight, but it's actually not a half bad fight for SMG.
It's a fight with a lot of sacrifices, but it does work out.
You said what about 3 times in that fight? What were you reacting to? I'm curious.
Chidori almost dying was what I was reacting to. His BKB was on, he wasn't able to sunder until the last moment. If literally one right click flew through, would have been dead, and that fight would have been a big different story for SMG, but it does work out. The KP's charge is not quite enough, charging through the Terror Blade to try to get some distance out. And SMG, they drag back a little bit more into this game. It's not enough to equalize in terms of the net worth deficits, but you are seeing what they can do in these team fights. That wasn't even an ideal fight for SMG. Nope. Like, Masaros doesn't get to use a good roar there. He's just stuck in the middle, getting chain stun from the rolls, from the charges coming through. There's a lot that you have to worry about in your positioning, and they still managed to make it work on SMG.
Yeah, big Yules out from Afu, honestly. That fight would have been even worse. I think they were lining up on the 2 supports, weren't they? I mean, and without your Maiden, without your Afu Skywrath Mage, it's just no damage for you in these fights, it feels like early on. Something needs to cover for Chidori.
Yeah, they need to, again, just be a little bit cautious, but again, if you have a scrappy fight like that and Chidori lives, you're more than happy. They'll try again with a smoke. All the spells are back up. Wukong's down for a few seconds, but we'll be back
big,
up.
Though. I mean, he doesn't need that circlet, but he does now have his full Mjolnir on top of BKB and the Echo Saber. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Echo Saber Slow does work still on Wukong's. Is that right?
I believe so.
I can't remember. I know they used to change that basically every patch, but I don't know where it stood because that item's kind of fallen out of favor, and it might have had something to do with that change. But I'll see if I can keep my eye out for it this time. But hey, good, very, very disciplined play from SMG. They just hold in the ward, right? Both supports eager to fight around this one, and for very good reason. You've got Hawks, you've got high ground vision on the cliff. You have Chidori still continuing to farm as well, as he finally has his Manta style up and ready. Now, that charge is... I see KP on this other side of the map. It's going to be a 5v4 for some time here if SMG choose to fight now. I do see Bosku. Is that a bait? Oh my goodness, that Centaur Conqueror I thought was going to find a Ravage. Only stuns up one though, before it's kicked away and killed off.
Just trying to get vision. They're going to lose an Obs for nothing.
They will, but they have another ward to fall back on. It's the ward that's just seen KP as well, who's going to cancel his charge in order to pick up the bounty rune. Fu has good vision now, finds a silence onto KP. Mid one looking to try and follow up out of that with another silence, but there's just too much damage. KP's got a BKB. In trouble now is mid one. I think he's got a Phantom on top of him, so he can't roll away. And with Raven immediately closing the gap, he is just dead. Perma-stun and silenced to death. Chidori's committed now as well on the Metamorphosis, but they're not going to choose to fight anymore. They've lost the mid laner, they've lost the captain and the CEO. Chidori with a very nicely timed Max Silo chooses now to turn and fight into this one. Disarm, but still trying to get off the freezing field. It's going to be John Noel, but just perma-stun basically. The roar does at least allow SMG to continue backing away, but it does feel like they've overextended, and now Blacklist eager to dive underneath the tier 1 tower to see how much more they can get. A beautiful two-man stun to cut Karas and Chidori. John Noel letting it go, finds the kill into Bosku, forces Raven now underneath the tower. He's going to go down, couldn't retreat back through that freezing field. So it's SMG with a nice buyback off of Zhao, who can be able to still somewhat get the better of that fight, I want to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, actually.
They find Raven, they find KP for, you know, it costs Midwin and Moxros, but you have Chidori around to soak that through. He doesn't die. The buyback on Zhao, very worthwhile. Probably the highest impact CM buyback we've seen off the back of this bot tier 1 still standing.
Yeah, seriously.
And Blacklist, it started off with mid one overextending. Suddenly, Blacklist overextend greatly, not respecting SMG's turnaround potential there. The ults again from Apu to cut off that Spirit Breaker in the middle of his charge as well, trying to find more in the back.
Good call.
Was a big thing to give them that opportunity to line them up in that big freezing field. Yeah. So SMG, I mean, they've got a lot of bite left. You have to be somewhat cautious on Blacklist. You find that kill in mid one, they kept forcing it in. And for SMG's side, you know, mid one's been jumping pretty damn far forward.
Yes, that level 10 talent, you know, can make it a bit punishing.
Yeah,
sometimes.
There's no one to really follow through from your Earth Spirit in this game as well. If your heroes are all far back behind, you don't have a blink on, say, your Beastmaster, your Skywrath Mage, it's a support that's going to have to run up to try to combine with a Mystic Flare. So it's hard to connect all these dots.
SMG, they want to connect here. They do see Tims. They're not going to see Carl, who's going to roll up with the Invis room. Tims also has the Axe Scepter, so look for a Dark Portrait in this fight. That's a dead Bosku immediately, though. Mid one loosed up, stuck inside the Wukong's command, and Chidori, 20 seconds without a Metamorphosis, is going down rather quickly, but gets off a Metamorphosis, or sorry, a Sunder, pardon me, onto Carl. Oh, they actually saw Raven. I don't know what blocked his tree, what broke his tree. It was axes. It must have been axes, but Chidori in trouble. Doesn't have Sunder now for another minute and a half. KP easily makes the jump, and Raven under the cover of the BKB has himself a double kill, but that's a buyback out from mid one. Rolls back into the fight after TPing onto the outpost. Needs more, wants more, but KP with the BKB now finds a couple of nice bashes here and a stun. Mid one wants out of this fight now, or wants back in. Yeah, that's another roll in. Raven slowed a bit to a crawl. Mid one still has 5 more remnants, but a big charge again by KP through the fight. It's basically bisecting it time and time again. Hit by the roots, gonna find himself dispelled now thanks to all of his Tarn statuses, but eventually taken out. That's 2 buybacks, so Chidori bought back as well. They're making a play for Roche. This is some really decisive shot calling from SMG. I can't tell if it's decisive for the win or for a long game.
I'm not sure either, but it's paying off to some extent. We'll be able to find this Roshan, the side of Blacklist, not in position to contest, and they do make it work somehow on SMG, although 2 buybacks on these cores is pretty painful to commit for those pickoffs. You'll find Aegis, you'll find some ways to cover Chidori at the least, but it puts a massive risk on the side of SMG. And Blacklist, with the way they've been playing, with the aggression, has been looking good. Mid one, just bought back.
Oh, this would be a big dieback here, and it looks like they've got it all but basically guaranteed. Mid one does find a roll away. That's a big impetus. Boss Q, yep, he'll punish you for that. That was a huge impetus shot. Chidori did pop Metamorphosis here as well, so Blacklist, they're going to be pretty fine to just chill. That's essentially, what, 3 minutes burned off of Aegis here? Yeah, with that meta not finding anything. And I was really surprised that SMG took that fight in the first place. They didn't have meta for like 30 seconds when they started that fight.
Yeah, they're pretty confident. I understand that, but again, you committed to buyback on your Earth Spirit. You're lacking some BKBs here on, well, really mid one. Like, it does feel like that Earth Spirit BKB is your big timing that you need to meet here. And despite having the Aegis up, Blacklist is not scared. You know, they're not worried. They know they can handle 2 lives on Terrorblade. Terrorblade's probably one of those awkward heroes with Aegis where it's a transformation hero.
Right.
You have to make that decision with when you want to pop the meta. You don't have your Ags up or that secondary tiny meta as well.
It'd be good in this situation. Look how fast that Dark Portrait moves. Holy moly. That thing is pretty scary here. Did they just steal his illusion? The boss who stole his illusion. Tim's made a better illusion of him. Zhao, in trouble on the low ground, is going to die. Yikes. Yule Scepter is going to do nothing but KP, maybe make him a little bit dizzy. Yule's in general a really good option against people that have a lot of status resist, because airtime is not reduced by status resist. Not really sure why, but it's just one of those interactions. You kind of have to play 1,000 hours of Dota before you learn. Yeah, it's a strange one. Feels like it should. You know, the stat resist. I mean, wind is a status. Wind is gravity is a status, isn't it? Yeah. Wind's currently beating on the Philippines right now. Stay safe, everyone. Oh, Super Typhoon coming in. Oh no. Make sure y'all are safe. Drive safely, and hopefully for SMG they play this game safely as well. Yeah, it's been a bit rough. 26-19. We've seen some bite from SMG, but it's Blacklist that's constantly on the aggression, constantly finding these openings. Yeah, it never has felt like to me, John, that SMG have really. It's a good way of putting this. Whenever they've initiated on their own accord, you know, of their own volition, it's never gone well. Yeah, they've counter-initiated very well versus Blacklist when they've chased. I've got to give them complete credit there. I want to make myself clear, but when it's mid one, kind of just going in for a roll, maybe they've gotten a couple of solo kills. I think they got one onto Tim's, they got one on a boss. You know, like they found these small kills in isolation. That's what your draft is meant to do. When it's come to okay, let's put the whole shebang together right now. You know, it hasn't looked so great for them. Yeah, it's rough, and it doesn't get any easier as time goes on with the BKBs of Blacklist being online as well. You know, just KP with a BKB has been really troublesome with his debuff immunity plus his ridiculous stat resist at this point with Bulldoze up 70% when you turn that thing on. Why? I do not know, but yes.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Why is it 70%, Richie? Yeah, sure. It's dispellable though, so that's where the Yules of Afu does really come in handy. But yeah, you're right. I mean, 70%, that's a big number. That is a big number. It's kind of ridiculous what a Spirit Breaker can just do. You can charge in with no worries, charge back out, so no worries for the green. I have Scotty on both safe laners now, by the way. Raven has a pretty big level advantage, 3 full levels over Chidori. Chidori does have that max Sunder at least. I have Scotty and all these HP regen shenanigans, including Ice Blast, they do not affect Sunder. It's one of these, I think there's 3 of them in the game. There's Time Lapse, Sunder, and Time Walk, I believe, all ignore the HP reduction. Yeah, they're really weird. It's almost like an HP swap instead of like a heal. Again, it's one of these 1,000 hour things. You just kind of have to. Pretty much. And SMG, we'll have to see how well Chidori gets that Metamorphosis offer, that Thunder off. Some fights he gets it off in really good timing. Sometimes it's a little bit awkward with him being kited around. I think something that needs to come together, I don't know what order it needs to happen in. If I knew, I'd be playing. Oh, well, mid one thinks he knows he's going to actually get forced after away. They're trying to kill. That's what they needed. They needed a roll into a roar, and that is exactly how they're going to get that one done. A kill onto Carl. Chidori's going to pop them out of here on the first life, as they have forced Raven out of this one as well. Pops the BKB in order to run from mid one, who's going to continue rolling. They didn't actually latch him onto anyone, and now Raven in a lot of trouble without a BKB, rooted up and blasted by Chidori's right click. Does not have buyback. Looking for more. They'll find one more as well as Afu with the kill onto Tim's. As I was about to say, John, it doesn't feel like the stuns between mid one and Masaros have really come together. That was perfect. The control onto Carl completely deleted him from the fight. And that was what was missing last time around. Like, they get that instant lockdown and big team fight hero. They get this opening onto high ground. The Aegis does expire, so you don't have that safety net for Chidori, but...
KP's bought out here too, by the way.
Yeah, a refresh coming out from him. I mean, that can be massive. Double BKB, double charge in the middle of a lot of heroes. A double Nether Strike's nice, but where's your follow-through?
There he goes. Stuns basically 4 heroes here. He does not pop the refresher yet, and he's going to be able to easily make it out of the fight. Stroke of Fates as well. They're going to start adding up. That's a max Stroke of Fate. We're going to have a Soulbind as well in 3 more seconds here, continuing to steal the illusions on over from Chidori and turning them against him. Monkey's still dead for 25, but SMG are going to be bullied off of high ground as KP's now chooses the moment to pop the refresher. That's a dead mid one. The roll on through from Carl's going to cancel his TP, potentially condemns Masaros here as well, as KP has yet another strike to use courtesy of the refresher. Turns it back over for the kill. 4 versus 5. Blacklist rivalry, make it work.
They disrupt long enough for the respawns to come in. They do have to buy back in Timps, but very worthwhile for Blacklist to stave off any more progression on this high ground. Rack still intact.
Notably, no buyback. I mean, no monkey in the fight was surprising for me, to say the least.
Spirit Breaker right now is just really hard to punish. He jumps in with BKB, disrupts your fight, pierces, stuns you through your own BKBs and spell immunity, and
that's right.
You don't feel good on the side of SMG. And they didn't have all of their spells up as well. Roar not quite up in that fight. They couldn't connect with their own jump in. They need to isolate these heroes.
They didn't really have meta to try and cancel them, which is damage.
It's just a little bit rough for them to go all in. But it's also at the same time a move SMG needed to make.
Right.
They needed some progression on the map. They find a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. A lot to find in that short time span. And it equalizes the game to a certain extent. Chidori's back to number 1. He's working on his, he's got his full Hurricane Pike out now, so he can kind of bail himself out.
Talk to me about mid one though. How do you feel like he's recovered? He's got BKB now. Had a really rough early game, and again, to his credit, Blacklist really kind of narrowed in onto him. But how do you think he's doing so far? What's next for him in this game?
I like that he's going for the Kaya Sanj. Just more stat resist, more damage coming out from him is going to feel pretty damn good. I wouldn't mind something like, I don't know how useful it would be, but the Ags could be one way to bail out as well.
Right.
The stone form's kind of big.
Are you ever thinking Scythe on this kind of a hero, this initiator? Winter was always begging for Scythe of Vices on mid laners these days.
Yeah, you know what? Scythe is a pretty big item pickup. Preferable over the Axe. I don't think you want to go fully defensive on the side of SMG. You just kind of want to jump in. If Masaros isn't around just yet to follow through with a roar, have the Scythe ready. And just keep that control up.
See how it goes here as KP may look to make a go at Masaros here. Oh, great Yule Scepter out from Afu. Does still get Masaros to pop his BKB, but they did waste Wukong's, and now mid one, he's back in this fight. There's a BKB still on Raven as mid one finds himself silence, pops that fresh 9-second BKB in order to continue on in the fight. Raven as well uses his as a Soulbind once again, not latching onto anything quite yet in this fight. KP disrupting the backline, is looking for the solo kill onto Afu. Refreshes, should be able to find this one easily, but they've gotten Raven.
Still no
Raven is down. Chidori is huge with this amount of damage. Oh, and the roar to cancel the TP only lasts a mere second before he charges across their screen. They are chasing him with quite a number of projectiles here, Jonathan, but I believe with 1500 HP, KP ought to be just fine here.
What a hero, Spirit Breaker.
Let's see. Are those projectiles going to hit him? Did he? They should hit.
It's a good chunk of damage as well, just not enough.
Not quite 1500 though.
No, but Roshan's open for SMG. And we're in that situation again.
The persistence of mid one, I have to commend him. Just chase down the monkey.
Yeah, it opens up that opportunity. The fresh BKB, big difference maker for SMG here. Last time around, mid one would just run in without no debuff immunity.
KP in trouble. In the meantime, as Roche falls, silenced up, able to charge away. He's taken down. He will take down the Vessel.
Finally happens.
Mid one did not get into range to collect the charges. Kind of, you know, a moderate deal, but not the craziest, you know.
Not the biggest loss in the world at this point. You're happy enough to just get KP out, maybe have him forced to buy back for the high ground defense.
That'd be big.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for SMG. You're at the Aegis now once more for CDR. Chidori not too far off from Metamorphosis, a minute away, so maybe a little bit of patience having to come out here for the side of SMG. For Blacklist, we just need to see them coordinate into these fights. Like on the retreat, it actually feels really awkward when you're running back because it gives you moments where your heroes aren't together. So suddenly this initiation, this chase from the Earth Spirit just becomes a lot scarier. He isolates you